Oh, it sucks.
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Go, 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 go. Let's go right here on Black Power Media. This is the RemiX Morning Show. I go by the name of the Ear Doctor. Let me introduce you to your host for the day. We have no other than Dr. Jared Ball and Burn It Down Kim Brown. Let us go. All right. I know, right? It's a little different when you got the music. And last but not least, I got one more person I want to introduce y'all to. No other than Kamal K. Franklin.
What up?
Franklin.
Just made it. Almost.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey,
Right.
Black people. Well, some Black people. I don't know about all the rest of y'all. It's a little impeded this morning.
Well, all as Jackie has been known to say when she's here, of all shades. We're welcome to everybody.
Yes.
So what's going on? Kim, I was trying to look for something. Did we say we didn't talk about the Mama's Biscuits thing on air, did we?
No, we didn't.
Okay.
No, we didn't.
Because I did. I don't know if was that intentional, because
No,
I've reached out. Okay. Because I'm excited. I've already reached out to the crew, and if you would like to I thought maybe you could take a moment and share with the folks, because Mama's Biscuits is everywhere.
Mama's Biscuits is everywhere.
It
is everywhere. So in chit-chatting with my mom, who was chit-chatting with some folks from the old neighborhood, come to find out that I know another member of Mama's Biscuits. Turns out that I know the Congo player from Mama's Biscuits. Shout out to Parrish. Parrish is somebody I've known. I have to say I've known Parrish my whole life, because his little brother Markel is one of my dearest lifelong friends. For example, the fire pit, Markel came over here and painted the fire pit. So it was wild to hear that Jared and Parrish not only knew each other, but was members of Mama's Biscuits together. So
that's it.
That's not a small connection. Like I said, I've known Parrish the majority of my life. So
Kim, it's not an urban legend. Mama's Biscuits is really a group. Oh, snap.
In all the years of you guys knowing each other, it's so shocking that it's the first time it ever came up. When
you say all the years, Jared, tell people how many years have we been acquainted?
I think it's not even one.
No. I was talking about you and Parrish. Robert.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, it was
it's
such
not
a
Robert Parrish.
Band.
His first name is Parrish.
Oh, my bad. Like, not the basketball.
And he comes from the infamous PG County McCleary clan, which is extremely big and extensive. So he used to joke with me all the time. He still does. In fact, he's chatting with me right now that Parrish knew everybody or was related to everybody in Prince George's County. So this is just more proof of that. And as we would introduce him when we would start our shows, tonight P stands for percussion.
So let me make a little correction. because Yes, I am confident Parrish has many extensive family members in Prince George's County. Howsomever, I know Parrish growing up on the Howard County side. Now I know Hoco niggas like to
That's
try
right.
to
I forgot.
distance themselves from
I keep
Howard
forgetting
County.
that.
And I don't blame Hoco niggas for trying to distance themselves from Howard County. I understand that. I understand that. But
No, I love Howard County.
Parrish is an alum. We went to the same high school. So
that's right. That's right. I forgot about that. Parrish. I keep forgetting about that. That Parrish has this right around the way Columbia piece to it. But we would always visit in PG County because I only ever really met his grandparents and big ups to them. Look at Kamau. Look at Kamau. Anyway, stop hating, son. They're gonna make an appearance. They're gonna make
That's what I want to hear.
on the remix.
That's I want to see. What
we're gonna work on.
Yes. It's gotta be here though. On the remix.
Oh, where else would it be?
Yeah. Put it together, man.
Questions.
For real.
He got questions.
Can you put that picture up you did the other day though? Of like the people when y'all had a little last year, y'all had a little get together. Some of y'all.
I will. Yes. I will share that.
Share that
real quick. And folk, we had.
I just want people to see.
I know you hating. Go ahead. This is from our one of our Zoom chats.
Oh, look how happy Jared is.
See, look at that. Look at that. See, this
is an intro to
documentary. I'm telling you,
my God.
It's gonna be a documentary amid a thriving college music scene in Western Maryland, USA. You know what I'm saying?
What?
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, snap.
Frostburg.
Funk band. And groove. You know what I'm saying?
We find out I do
Lowered forth.
The brilliance of Method Man.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Better than your mama's biscuits. We bum killing. I might know, but ain't telling. Come on, man.
Oh,
from the Muddy Waters album with Redman. That's where the thing came from.
Wow.
Okay. See, now Markel told me that it was because Parrish loved his grandmama's biscuit. That's how Mama's biscuit got it. That's not
the story.
The urban
I
legend.
made the name, and in fact, the name was might have been invented before Parrish was actually in the band. And was invented with me and my man. Shout out to Big Roosevelt, aka Big Luscious.
Whoa! I'll never call that dude his name. That's a running inside joke. But we used to when the Muddy Waters album came out, we used to rock that all the time, and we would be in the car, blazed and riding around Frostburg, performing the Redman Method Man parts. And when I heard that line, I told him, I said, "That's going to be the name of my band."
How long did it take to ride around Frostburg? Like 2 seconds? I mean, we're riding around Frostburg.
But you just be cruising. It's not the distance. It's the cruising. Okay. It's the time. It's the chill. Letting everybody hear you bumping the new Muddy Waters album.
Woo, yeah. Yeah, hey, queuing it up at the light so when you ride past and pump the brakes.
Exactly.
Oh, I already know.
Exactly. So and at the height of the band, you saw there, and in all honesty, the Parrish and the brother there, you saw Jeff, who was our lead singer and keyboard player. Those two, plus probably our bassist, White Chocolate from PG County, could probably be professional players. Like they're legit. Like I think they're legit. The rest of us were kind of hanging on just for fun in college. But we at one point we had brother playing horn. We had 3 backup sisters singing. We had Tiffany became the main superstar for the brief moment that she shined with us, and we had guitars, rhythm guitars. So we had like 10 strong on stage at one point.
And I'm sorry, I missed something. You said
Sly and the Family Stone.
You said White Chocolate could have been famous too. White Chocolate.
He's a
like
legit. He's a legit.
He's like the Jim Carrey of the group. He was the breakout white boy. He could have been.
Yeah, he'd have been a Jim Carrey of the group. But he's a legit. Like he could play. So like I have to give respect to the people who can actually play. So you know.
So let me ask Jared. Like, what was your what would you say was Mama's Biscuits' crown jewel? What was the cover that y'all hit? And when y'all hit that, y'all hit.
Oh. For me, it was Jimi Hendrix Band of Gypsies rendition of the song Stop, which, if people don't know, is one of the funkiest hard. So that, and then we did the Jam from Larry Graham and Graham Central Station. I think those were which everybody got a little solo on. Stuff like that. We also did a nice Purple Rain, you know what I mean? We did, and Nothing Compares to You, where Jeff and Tiffany sang the Rosie Gaines Prince parts together. That joint was fire.
That sound right.
But we had a couple. We had a couple. We were nice. We had we did some Meters covers. Before. Oh man, because I loved it. It was some of the. It was some
more
of the best
excited when you talk about crypto and shit. You know what
I mean? It's more fun and it's legit, unlike crypto.
Hey, before I get out of here, I was just wondering: do white people that have one black person in their group call the black person Black Vanilla? I'll be back on
the Vanilla Black. That don't go over as well. Yeah, it doesn't go over as well. Yeah, you can't do that.
I'm not aware of that one. No, we had actually we had intended to be an all black band. Myself notwithstanding, Kim jokes, all the jokes, but it was just too small a community in terms of who could actually play, and was interested. And for a minute there, we would try to take it seriously. So we ended up having 3 white members, I think, right? The guitarist, the rhythm guitarist, and the bassist. Yeah. Yeah.
Great.
So, but it was dope.
Yeah, shout out to all the members of Mama's Biscuits. And Jared, you, unlike a lot of us, actually have an aspiration, I guess, to get the band back together, right? Not everybody can say that and legitimately have the band to reassemble. So I hope y'all do.
I would like to play again.
Is this one of these things? Is there all the band? Are they living members of the band, or is it like, has some past?
Yeah, nobody to hate on who has passed on yet, Kamal. There's no Dead Rapper Society for you to make jokes about,
Well, I can
knock on wood. We're all still here.
I'll wait it out.
Shut up, Kamal. Jeez Louise. Brooklyn has no chill, Slim. None. 8:15. Brooklyn got the full clip ready to rock.
Brooklyn is a mess. Nah. But yeah, shout out and a shout out to all the unheralded college band people that play for free, that just play to play. Like it's the best. It really is the best. So shout out to everybody out there doing it.
Yeah.
Cool.
DJs included, all of that.
I was thinking about the DJs too. It was funny because, Jarrod, you put me in touch with Nefa yesterday, and we were chatting about PFW, and he and I were both trying to come up because we don't know each other personally, but we know a lot of similar people. And I was like, yo, what was the name of that mix show on PFW with that joint? And he said the Soul Academics. I'm like, no, that's not the one. I know that one. But anyway, we came up with the
Soul Controllers.
Soul Controllers was DJ Book and them crew. You know what I'm saying, right? There was a Soul Controllers
Book and Rome and Bushhead Ed and shout out to all of them. Anyway, sorry, and they started at College Park in Maryland, and then went. Can I
also mention another member of the Soul Controllers, just random, just for some DMV
trivia. Sonic,
fucking Peter Rosenberg, man, PMD.
Oh shit!
Yeah, PMD.
I keep forgetting he started with them.
Yes, and I still call him PMD. I don't Peter Rosenberg. I don't acknowledge that. PMD is who I know. But anyway, just random DMV trivia right there. Peter Rosenberg, by the way, one of the co-hosts of the Hot 97 morning show.
Yeah.
Perhaps one of the authorities on hip hop these days. Yes, so that's how that goes. But anyway,
it was minus him, the Soul Controllers did come to WPFW, and we all participated in what was not, not an easy, process to get this block of hip-hop goes on.
Decipher. Yes. Yeah. Shout out
to we were on the Black Academics. Sorry, go ahead.
So I was just shouting out Mozzie, shout out DJ RBI, shout out crew. Dominic Painter, yeah.
Two-Tone Jones,
yes.
My man Mark Bolden, Dr. Mark Bolden was on with us. It was dope. It was dope, and they're still doing it. So congratulations,
yes,
shout out to Decipher and all the DJs doing their thing. Okay. So speaking of DJs doing their thing, we got our own resident audiologist. What's up, sir?
Hey, Kamal, you got any local yokel stories you want to talk about? Okay.
No. No.
All right, so
Y'all not even at home. Y'all not even at home. Kamau ain't in New York, and you ain't.
Even if I was, fuck 'em.
I'm in Trenton right now.
Oh.
So what you saying?
Well,
Now,
you right, doctor. I stand corrected.
anyway, we're gonna take a
That's
quick
terrible.
We're gonna take a quick break and come right back to the Remix Morning Show, y'all. So let's go.
Remix.
You got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, know when to run. Big up everybody out there. How y'all doing today? This is the Remix Morning Show. I go by the name of the Ear Doctor, and y'all are tuned into one of the dopest boom bap morning breakfast shows. So with that said, please make sure y'all hit that like button, that subscribe button, that notification bell, so you can know all the dope stuff that's coming to you and yours. And go to patreon.com and drop some change in the bucket, because you know we love it, and we love the fact that you are a part of this growth that we're having. With that said, I want to talk about this Women History Month. So I was like, let me talk about different women in different genres of music that we can learn a little bit about, in case we didn't know. Did y'all know about a opera singer? Yes, we did opera too. Let me talk to you about Elizabeth Greenfield. Elizabeth Taylor Greenfield. Yeah, not that Elizabeth Taylor, but Elizabeth Taylor Greenfield. She was born back in like 1809. She made a transition in 1876. She was dubbed the Black Swan, considered the best known Black concert artist of her time, known for her remarkably sweet tones and wide vocal compass. So she pretty much was born in Mississippi. She had her mom was Indian, her pops was African. She was with on a plantation and wound up moving off the plantation and getting emancipated. And the divorced woman from the slave master, sent some of her family over to Liberia, but she decided to stay in Philly, went to music school in Philly as a child and got educated and was around Quakers. Like she was involved in Christianity and dealing with Quakers and stuff like that. I don't even know why I brought it up. I just don't know too many Black people that's Quakers. But anyway, so she pretty much toured around the place. She went to London. She one of her biggest shows was in Metropolitan Hall in New York City. It had an audience of 4,000 people, only white people. And after the show, she apologized to all the Black people that wasn't able to see her concert. So she went ahead and did a free concert for all of them. So if you don't know, like I said, please make sure y'all go check out this sister. She returned to the States and toured in Philadelphia, opened up a studio, and she started doing a trio with another Black opera singer that went by the name of Thomas Browers. And she made her transition in Philadelphia March 31st. And yeah, she did her thing. So go check this sister out in case you don't know about her. Now you do. And that's what it is. So let's take it back to the morning crew. You know how we do right here at the Remix Morning Show. Let's go. Boom, boom, back, boom, back, back, back. Yeah.
Beatboxing is an important part of hip hop history.
Yes.
And we, how many ciphers have we been in or started or seen where that was the feature? So way to keep that going alive for us.
Hey,
Doctor.
No problem.
Appreciate
I think it can even go back to scatting. You know what I mean? Just as in another form of expression that's not verbal. So yeah.
Well, verbal,
in
but
fact,
not words.
Yeah. Is it verbal?
In fact,
if you're making
sounds from your mouth would be considered verbal.
Okay.
No, and those in hip hop academia scholarship have made that very argument. That and we just showed in my class the documentary The Founding Fathers, and that argument is made there. They show some of the origins going back to those early scats and saying that Louis Armstrong was the first recorded rapper or something to that effect. And then it was interesting because, by the way, you know, because the narrative of that documentary is that hip hop did not originate in the Bronx, as is often credited, but really started in Brooklyn and Queens with their sound systems and park jams and whatnot. And then I showed them a response to that documentary where the brother was saying, nope, they were doing disco and funk. Hip hop started in the Bronx, but it's just interesting, you know. I just like seeing, you know, students react to the different. Anyway, so
I take you back all the way to Africa when they was doing the hand bone. You know what I mean? A whole nother style of music that it wasn't even verbal. So that's what it is for the day, man. That's your opera singer. Big up to Elizabeth Greenfield. I catch you on next break.
Right on.
Thank you, ear doctor.
And we appreciate her a little bit more than is it Lisa Thompson Greenfield, currently Bidening it up.
Oh, the UN ambassador.
Who is, you know, Bidening up the U.S. corporate foreign policy, and you know, we're not thrilled with that entirely. So you know.
I'm like, yo, how many niggas are gonna send to the UN to get up there and sell the US's bullshit? Because when I seen her, I was like, Coley Powell. That's the first thing that came to my mind.
In the tradition of,
Coley Powell, Coley Cole. They sent another black person up there to sell this bullshit. Oh my goodness. There we are.
Hey,
Coley Cole. That's
and they volunteered too. What do you think?
Probably fought each other to do it. We were like,
So we don't advocate all forms of violence, at least here at BPM, but we do advocate slapping that map.
Slap that map.
Doom, doom, doom.
Okay. Hey. Yeah. Back to
the map was slapped. A little late, but it was slapped. You know what I'm
saying?
Delayed. All right, we
delayed.
Get there.
So are we going to start off? We got to start off with. We got to start off with.
What?
My man from the Black Panther.
Oh yeah.
All right, well, as luck would have it, Kamal. Mr. Show Up Late, Mr. Pre-Show Conversations.
So very glad that Kamal's on the pulse of things, because that is exactly the direction in which we are headed. And I'm glad we have some ATLians joining us to get their perspective of how one of the members of the community was handled again by the police. So what we have here, guys, so I'm sure you guys have all heard the Black Panther and Creed director, Ryan Coogler, young black guy, seemingly unproblematic. I've not heard too much bad about Ryan Coogler. He appears to very much mind his business, which I greatly respect. So earlier this year, reported to be some point in January, Ryan Coogler went into a Bank of America in Atlanta, wearing a COVID mask. He was wearing sunglasses and he was wearing a hoodie. And actually, I have a screenshot of the note. So he passed a note to a bank teller at Bank of America, which, by the way, he was an account holder. I mean, I think that should probably go without saying, but he was an account holder. And so he passed this note to the bank teller, and this is a direct quote. This is from TMZ. It says, "I would like to withdraw $12,000 cash from my checking account. Please do a money count somewhere else. I would like to be discreet." Okay, that's what the note said. And he passed this note to the bank teller. And the first clip that we are about to hear is the actual 911 call from that bank teller to the police.
Oh, wait, should I take down my screen? You know, I'm jumping ahead, of course. And I wasn't in the pre-production meeting. Should I take down the screen sharing I just did? Y'all already got that set up?
Well, Kim had hers. I can't now. I'm all confused. But before we do move on, though,
it's all my fault. Why you can?
It is. We
I'm gonna shut up.
That's no.
But but Kim, could you read the note again? Because when you
Absolutely.
were reading it, what I heard was, this is a stick up. I'm armed. Put money in the bag quickly. So I just want to make sure that we're all clear on, because that's what I was hearing you read. If you could please just
Absolutely.
help.
Absolutely,
I'd appreciate
Gerard.
that. Thank you.
The note read, quote, I would like to withdraw $12,000 cash from my checking account. Please do the money count somewhere else. I'd like to be discreet.
Okay, well, I don't know. I'm still hearing this is a stick up. Put the money in the bag. Yeah, I don't know. I'm maybe I have the teller's ears on. I don't know, but did you want us to show this now?
Yes, please. So
Kim?
the first thing that I dropped in there is the 911 call. So the first link that I put in.
Okay.
I just told my man.
Hold on a second.
Come this way. Whoa. Put your hand behind your back. No, back. Got it.
Customer passed me a note, and so I just told my manager I didn't feel comfortable. So he told me to call police while he, I guess, stalled.
What is on the note, ma'am?
It just says I want to withdraw $12,000. Just be discreet.
Is this an actual customer, or are they trying to rob the bank?
They had a debit card and he inserted it. He gave me a California ID, but I was like, okay. I was like, how do you want the cash back? And he's like, just look at the note.
And he had no weapons, correct?
Not that I know of. He just has on black sunshades and a black hat.
Is he a black male, white male?
He's a black male.
Wow.
And every time I ask him like a question, he's like, look at the note.
So, okay.
He fit the description.
But he inserted his debit card, and then I asked for his ID. He handed me his ID as a California ID. But I didn't look at his name because I'm just like so shook up.
That's bank robbery 101. Don't get confused.
What was he trying to do? So I just told him, give me one moment. You know, I have to get my manager.
Okay, so none of his information was even verified. Okay. He might just want to be discreet, but I have police en route.
Come this way.
Yep. So that's the 911 call. You hear credit to the 911 operator. I mean, obviously she had to do her job, and she was like, this don't sound like a bank robbery to me. But y'all's take on the call itself, and then we're going to take a look at the body cam footage that Atlanta police just released.
I mean, like I said, in all of the like best bank robbery films and documentaries, they always lead with giving you the ID, giving the teller the ID and a debit card and a note.
For the
Like,
Yeah.
this
That's
is
always
me.
the start of the right before they take the gun out. Right before they
Right. This is the card to my account in
Here's
that
my
bank.
ID with my
Here's
face
my
on it.
ID with my face.
My California
Now
driver's
give me
license.
my money, just my money. But this is a robbery.
And he did have a black hat on. And he was black.
And he was black. So
Once you say those words, it's on. It's on and popping. It's nothing else but a bank robbery.
Yeah, I'm a little confused as to why him having a California ID was a red flag, because don't people move all over this country? Does it Bank of America have branches
Apparently not.
wide? Like, he had a California ID, so what? And I didn't look at his name. Why didn't you look at his name? It doesn't sound as though this young lady was properly trained as a bank teller. I would hope banking professionals have a little bit of a higher threshold for once they decide to call the police on people if they suspect they're being robbed, especially if the person has given no indication that robbery is their intention. But this raises a lot of concerns, and I've seen a mix of reaction to this on social media. So it's been a mix of jokes, people joking, Ryan Coogler, like, hey man, why you going to bank with the mask and the hoodie and you writing notes and you passing notes, ha ha ha. All right, that's one part of it. But I would also like for us to keep in mind that there are people out here who are nonverbal. There are people out here who communicate via notes or via American Sign Language, and it is not uncommon nor unusual for people who are either nonverbal, deaf or hard of hearing to go about conducting their business at banks in various places by writing notes. Like that is a very common way of communication. And there have been a number of Black deaf people, Black hard of hearing people, Black nonverbal people who have been straight up murdered by police because they could not hear commands or weren't able to comply with commands in the speed at which the officers demanded. So as Black people, we have to be super discerning about calling the police on our own folks because the situation could go south really quick. And the next thing I want us to look at is the body cam footage, because again, as somebody who has also had police point guns at them, I understand the value and the outright necessity of being able to articulate yourself to the satisfaction of the police so they do not harm you. And this is exactly what Ryan Coogler understood that he had to do. So if we could take that body cam footage.
Come this way. Put your hand behind your back. Put your hand behind your back. Change now back. Got it. Got it. Is there any reason y'all doing this, bro? Give me 1 second.
Good job, man. Good job, man.
It's a problem. I need everybody's name.
They're writing all your.
I need everybody's name. You know what I'm saying? And I need to find out who made that call in there.
Yeah.
You know
It came from the bank.
Yeah.
Came from the
I need
bank.
to find out who made the
That's
call.
fine. That's fine. You have all right to do so.
Yeah. I got.
But can I speak to a manager in an office somewhere? Have you ever considered doing
I'm
something
gonna
like
consider it now that y'all
Okay.
fucking drew guns on me.
Yeah.
I was trying to take money out. But up to this point, at every Bank of America I ever gone to in my entire fucking life, just never happened.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying?
I understand.
So y'all explaining y'all perspective, right?
Yeah.
Y'all the ones with guns and vests.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
What's my perspective? What's my perspective?
I know you
At the bank, she never said it was a fucking problem, bro.
Yeah.
I said, hey, is that gonna be okay with you? She said, yeah. I put my own card in, put my own pin in. She asked to see my ID. I gave it to her.
Yeah.
And she goes in the back, and I'm waiting for the and then the people keep coming out. Hey, they taking care of you. They taking care of you. Everything, it's taking a little while. Next thing I hear fucking Glocks.
Yeah.
I hear Glocks getting pulled out. That's what I hear.
You're a Glock.
I hear Glocks getting pulled out from unholstering. Hey, sir, can I talk to you for a minute?
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So you see my perspective.
Yeah.
I do see his perspective. Yeah. And he is
I was gonna
absolutely
note-
correct. No, go ahead, come on.
So just really quick, I was going to note too, like even I mean, the dude is taking out like 12 G's. So being discreet is not, I don't know what that raises to a criminal element is like, I'm taking out 12 G's. It's not like I'm taking out $100. So it can make sense that even, from the standpoint of like, someone who's trying to be discreet, here's this. I don't want to say it out loud. And obviously I don't want folks to know that I got 12 G's on me as I walk out of a bank. So even that makes sense in the sense, you know what I mean? Like, so it's ridiculous. And I could see just how, like, obviously my man was upset, and it's like 12,000, like I gave you my ID and my PIN number and my card. It is crazy. And I too was one, like, at first I was like, it's kind of, there's obviously jokes to be made, but on a very more serious level, it's again, life in America. At any moment you could be that suspect, right? So.
Mm-hmm. And celebrity is probably what helped him. You know what I'm saying? Like, people are like, oh, we shouldn't worry about what's happening to celebrity is probably the reason why he walked away.
Well, did they ever
from
know he was a celebrity? Because you couldn't,
Oh.
I mean, he's a director. No, I mean, he's a director. He's not, his face is not that well known in terms of like, if he's walking
I
down
can
the
see
street.
that. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
clearly,
And he has a
bank
mask
teller
on
had
because it's
never-
COVID.
Huh? Oh, we had a
Although
mask
when
on
he
because it's
handed
COVID.
when he handed the teller his ID, I'm assuming it says
Yes,
Ryan
right.
Coogler on it.
Right.
And I mean, you might think that would be like okay, but really it really shouldn't matter. I mean, so my thing is, I don't actually Kim, to whoever out there would be saying we shouldn't care about celebrities, I wouldn't agree with them on that. I would say that the fact that they are celebrities is indicative of how bad it is for everybody else. So, you know, I would hope people wouldn't see this and feel like we shouldn't care because he's supposed to be famous. The point would be,
it was some comments yesterday about Brittany Griner. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, why should we care about this WNBA player who chose to go to Russia to go play ball? Like, it was some of the sentiments were, that's very much a her problem. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there's that.
I'm only mad at the celebrities when the celebrities only care, and I'm not, and obviously those two examples are not the cases. It's only when they think they're like obviously our brother from a few weeks ago who walked up into the expensive store and got mad because he didn't get served. Like, you know what I mean? So when they take it to something like that, which is again different from these, that's what it like, you know, it's like, come on, B. But this is like, you know, this is the kind of thing that like, because my assumption again is she didn't recognize celebrity. So she just was scared of a black, even if she was a black person giving her a note apparently and asking for a large amount of money. So somehow for her that meant robbery, right? And so obviously it could have happened and does happen, right, to everybody and anybody. And the results may be, I mean, again, there's obviously a lot of part of it we missed. So we have no idea what the cops finally knew, what made them release him outside or whatever. But you know, it could have been like, hey, why are you doing this? And as cops are trained to do, right? You talk back to them, you say something back. They take that as an insult, or you challenging their authority, and you womped up, and then you wind up handcuffed and in jail, and you got a charge of resisting arrest,
failure to
disorderly conduct.
Right.
You know, you spending the next 6 months going to court trying to work your way out of it, and Lord, don't have a record already because boom. You know, you got something coming on you. So it's all an accumulation of stuff that continues to happen.
Yeah.
No, I would only have more of an issue with the political impact of Coogler's work than him suffering something like this and us having concern for him. In fact, that's my only issue is that I think the political impact of his and some of the celebrity work and presence makes it harder for us to develop an analysis and appropriate response to just this kind of behavior. But that doesn't mean I'm like, we shouldn't care when it happens to him personally or to Griner. And I would think that, I know, Kim, your point is, I mean, well taken. I mean, you know, even when I was watching my man Hassan Campbell talk about, I don't care about the Africans in Ukraine because they chose to go to Ukraine to better themselves away from their own people and be in a white supremacist country. And I'm like, that's not the conclusion I think we should be drawing here. You know, looking at people who are struggling in this world and then condemning them for their choices and saying, well, that's on you. I don't think that's the analysis. So, but anyway,
let me just close on this because so I agree with you in the sense that you know but what Ryan Coogler experienced is not something that we should be personally aggrieved about because it's an experience that a lot of us have. The vision I want us to take away from what happened to Ryan Coogler is that there are a lot of disabled Black people, nonverbal Black people, deaf and hard of hearing Black people who conduct themselves in exactly this way. And I need for us to normalize that. I need for society to normalize that broadly. So when people are passing notes in the bank or in the store or in the hospital or for any place, that should not be something to cause alarm. That should not raise a red flag. You know, we have very set ideas about what normal is. And when people deviate from the normal, reactions come, right? And sometimes those reactions could be adverse. And we live in a police state where people are quick to dial 911 when someone is quote unquote not acting right. You understand? So I just want us to look at it through that prism, through that perspective, that even though this is Ryan Coogler, he's able to hear. This was not the case with him. It is the case with a lot of Black folks out there who have ended up dead because police were not satisfied with the speed in which they complied or did not comply with commands because they could not hear them or could not verbalize otherwise.
Yeah, right on. Absolutely. All right. Well, Kim, I think you also had something
Full
else
clip.
you wanted us to get to.
Full
Right.
clip. Told
Right.
you I had full clip today. Full clip. Did I drop the link in that joint? No, I didn't. Let me
Nope,
drop that
nope,
thing.
nope,
Kamal,
nope.
a couple of these stories are pertaining to Jackson. If I have this correct, because you said you used to live in Jackson, yes?
I did live in Jackson for about a year and a half. My
Yes.
firstborn was born in Jackson.
Hey, let's go, Mississippi. I'm from the M. Crickler,
Long way
I.
from Brooklyn. Long way.
Humpback, I. No, shout out to
I
David
think
Banner.
is Kamal having a Wi-Fi issue? Are you having a connection issue, Kamal? Or am I just seeing that?
Mic check. Brickety Row, giggity gag zooks, here I come. So I think I dropped it in the chat there, Gerald.
Yep. I got you right here.
Okay, so there's a pair of stories coming out of Mississippi that I wanted to bring our attention to. Now, let's see if we can put these two things together. This story came out yesterday in the Clarion Ledger, and it reads, let me read the headline for our folks. My computer's moving slow today, too. It says, New Jackson Jail to help Hinds County with serious problems at Raymond Detention Center. Okay. So Hinds County plans to build a $60 million jail in Jackson to replace the Raymond Detention Center and to help the county come out from under a federal consent decree. Ooh, I'm intrigued. Quote, the reason that we're getting this is because the detention center that we have in Raymond is not as stable as it should be. And we've been pouring money into there, over $4 million, and we still have serious problems, said Board of Supervisor President Credell Calhoun during a Tuesday press conference. Since 2016, the county has been under a decree that mandates it address unconstitutional conditions at the jail. Plans are to break ground at a new jail within 2 years on McDowell Road next to the Henley Young Juvenile Justice Center. Oh, so they're going to have a whole little complex spread out with the new jail next to the Juvenile Justice Jail. Interesting. The jail is expected to be built in 2 phases, starting with 200 jail beds and some amenities, such as a dining area and a courtroom. They're going to put the courtroom right there in the jail. Isn't that convenient? They might save on some gas. Sheriff Tyree, is he black? Sheriff Tyree Jones, you know, Kamal?
He black, yeah.
I would think.
Tyree black.
Sheriff Tyree Jones said that his office and the Board of Supervisors are committed to meeting the requirements of the consent decree, including safety. Quote, building a new detention facility is a very important key as it relates to the situation that we're currently under. He said it shows that we are dedicated to the citizens of Hinds County regarding the safety of citizens and the safety of detainees. $60 million, Kamal. $60 million.
So part of the Jackson experience, as I tell people, was that we ran the first black sheriff. Well, we got the first black sheriff elected. I was actually his campaign manager.
Was it Tyree?
No, that was Tyrone.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We got Tyrone Lewis, elected. Not Tyree.
All right.
Yeah, we got Tyrone Lewis in, and so that was sort of this delicate thing of like, we're going to take over Jackson and get our own elected officials in, kind of thing. And then I think I've relayed before how he played us. So once he got elected, he brought in all his white boy conservative cops in to help lead up things and stuff like that.
Wow.
But so my first experience at the Jack, and I lasted probably like, how long did I last? I lasted like maybe 2 months at best before he fired me. Several confrontations, but that, but the jail has always been, and again, when people think of the sheriff, what the sheriff really does is run the local jail. Right, even more than usually having a large officer amount of like deputy sheriffs on the street and all that kind of stuff. This is the jail, that's their center point, and it is a place of power, right, for the sheriffs and the deputies over people. And as folks already know, sort of the histories of not only in the South but other sheriff departments, what they consider to be like, if you're on good behavior, you get to work in the sheriff's house, or you get to work at the governor's mansion. or you get to work in the sheriff's office. And of course, when people are doing that, they're feeling a sense of like, at least I'm not stuck in the cell, because the cells, the actual jails themselves, are run so terribly that you have locks broken so people can come in and out. You have water damage, you have heating systems or cooling systems that don't work. And it's just like a madhouse. And so people are always interested in trying to figure out how to get the hell out of there. And so it's also interesting to me that they are building the courthouse, and that they call it an amenity, by building it in the sheriff's office. So you don't get to travel nowhere, right? You go from your cell in the courtroom and right back to your cell. So I'm not, and it's this, again, it's just the idea that this is what you spend money on. You don't spend money to resolve issues. You spend money on the after effect to jail people and to lock them up. And you see it as a great victory. And so, this is Hinds County, a black county. Obviously Jackson, Mississippi, the main city in Hinds County, is a black city. But when you have these sort of black liberal politicians who can't think outside the box, and they think just like their white counterparts, they think building more jails, bigger budgets for sheriffs and police departments is the way to go. So,
have you done a whole reflection discussion of what Jackson means for black engagement with electoral politics since your experience with that? I mean, because that is that's what I feel tempted to ask about, but I think deserves a longer,
Yeah, I mean, I've just bits and pieces, and I think I definitely would do it now. But part of the other thing is that things ended so badly in terms of leaving that, I think for a while between me and the organization I was with, is sort of like, if everybody holds fire, everybody goes their way. But I think it's, it's part of it's part of a trajectory of what people have held up at a particular time on the left, particularly the black left, as a victory. And I think there are things about it that certainly were good, but there are also things about it that certainly have been disappointing and have certainly pointed to the need for better, more worked out strategy than what we had at the time in terms of talking about doing what we call the Jackson plan, right? So I definitely think there's some possibilities for conversations around it.
Right on. Yeah, look forward to that.
Oh, do we have time for the other story, or we have to boogie woogie?
Yeah, I think so. I think we have a few minutes before your
Brilliant.
doctor jumps back up here, and I got you all set. So whenever we
Fantastic.
can,
So-
let me pull that up for you.
So we just saw that reporting from the Clarion Ledger about $60 million being spent on this new jail. Wow. Oh, I want to ask you about the consent decree, Kamal. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, I mean, there's been one on the Hinds County Jail, which the ACLU, I think, initiated through a lawsuit, and a lawyer, a private lawyer, but associated with them, has been looking it over, being the caretaker for at least 15, 20 years now.
What?
So if it's still going on now, that was something that was part of what was sort of the dealings of making changes, or what changes were supposed to be made, that again never happened in that time period. So even with the consent decree, it didn't mean that the jail got better or the conditions got better. It was just a terrible, it was just a sloppily run, badly run. Nothing could get fixed. Nothing could ever work. But that's continued to pour millions and millions and millions of dollars into it, right? Because somebody would just come up and say, some sheriff or whatever would just come up and say, this is around public safety. And then whoever, the supervisors, because it was a county level, would then fall in line and be like, even though we have problems, more money, because this is about public safety. That's all it took. All you gotta do is talk about crime, and then boom, you get like all the spigots open for spending that money.
Yeah. As a sidebar, federal consent decrees, Listen, the toilet paper you got in your bathroom is way more valuable than the paper federal consent decrees are printed on. The Department of Justice is absolutely useless when it comes to these consent decrees, because these agencies and law enforcement departments just continue the status quo. They just keep doing what they're doing. Federal
Well,
consent
I mean,
damn.
there's just so much crime. I mean, so many black people show up to
Yes,
withdraw
committed by the
money from their
cops.
own
Yes.
bank accounts. Well, I mean, and black people trying to get their own money out of bank accounts. To be fair, that's, you know, that needs to be stamped down.
All right. So here we go. $60 million in Hinds County for a brand new jail, but this reported by Mississippi Today. The outlet Mississippi Today. I think this was reported on yesterday as well. The Mississippi House kills effort to extend health care coverage for new moms. Now, on the surface, it may not sound all that interesting, all that sussy, but let me get into it. So Mississippi moms could soon lose access to health care at a critical period after giving birth, after a measure that would extend their Medicaid coverage in the State House of Representatives. It died in the State House of Representatives. The Republican-led effort to prolong new mothers' Medicare coverage for a year, it passed overwhelmingly in the state Senate last month, but lawmakers supported the bill, and health advocates noted that the state's high rate of maternal and infant mortality as one of the reasons the extension is needed. The House let the measure die without a vote on Wednesday, likely meaning the 60% of pregnant women in Mississippi who are on Medicaid will lose their health insurance just 2 months after giving birth, a period when they are still at substantial risk of fatal complications from pregnancy. House Speaker Philip Gunn, who was a staunch opponent of the Medicaid expansion, told Mississippi Today that he viewed the bill in that light. Quote, I think there were different views on whether this expansion of whether this expands Medicaid, Gunn said. I've been very clear that I oppose Medicaid expansion and that I believe that we should be working to get people off Medicare as opposed to adding more people to it. But according to the article, Sorry, shut up, Siri. Stop ear hustling. But the measure would not have added anyone to Medicaid in Mississippi. It would have simply have allowed pregnant women who already qualify for Medicaid to get health care for 10 additional months. That's it. So we had $60 million for the jail, but extending Medicaid and Medicare for pregnant women and women who have recently given birth. As the article noted, Mississippi has a obscenely high infant mortality rate and maternal mortality rate. And then when you extrapolate that out to Black children, Black infants and Black mothers, that those rates go even higher. Some of the highest rates in the world actually it exist in Mississippi for maternal mortality and for infant mortality. So it's just interesting, interesting, but not surprising. But pro-life Mississippi, where they are placing these
that's what I was going to ask about.
Strenuous bans on abortion, clearly care more about fetuses. They don't give a fuck about the kids once they come out the womb. You know what I'm saying? You got to fend for yourself, little Johnny. You know what I'm saying? But hey. But Johnny, if you fend for yourself and you survive past age 3, we got a jail bed waiting for you in Jackson.
And Johnny's mother, we just need you to have the child, whether you or the child are healthy and it goes well for you after the fact is irrelevant. Have the child and then be gone. And even for those of us who have good insurance, have witnessed how quick that hospital visit can get. It's like, you come in there, get the baby out, everybody get on, test, blood, whatever, everybody out, get the car, get out. Whereas, as I remember having visited Cuba, and I know it's the case elsewhere, you get months of free in care for the mother. And then after the baby's delivered, you get months after the fact. I forgot the exact term, but you get all this time where beforehand and after. Whereas us is like, get in there the minute the baby's gonna come out and then get out. That's if you have good insurance. Anyway, so that's crazy.
Anyway, it's a bad conspiracy theory. It's like half the time it's like, oh, we want you to have these babies so we can lock them up later to keep our prison or jail system going, kind of thing. It's like that's what.
Or because they'll be sick, they'll go, if not to jail, back into the healthcare industry and feed that. So why not?
It's amazing too. Like he publicly says, it's like our job is to get more people off of Medicaid or off of Medicare. It's like that's your less health insurance for people is what your job is. It's not more health insurance. It's not making sure everybody's covered so that people can have and you don't even have to go to like Cuba. Most again, these European, similarly situated European capitalist countries have so much better post-birth
paid parental leave.
6 months, nanny comes to the house, or a healthcare worker comes to the house, help support you, your baby, help get you back to work. All of that is paid for by the government. Also, it's really like this, the outlier is really here, just in terms of anything that sounds sensible. And obviously, the main reason that exists is because of race, right? Because we've talked about before, at one point, welfare was considered a great program in the United States. Like it was supported because it was like for single moms. But as soon as they thought that Black people would use it or start using it or had access to it, then it became this dirty program that had all of this, like these things thrown upon it about welfare moms and welfare cheats and all that kind of stuff. Public housing at one point was this thing that was considered great for soldiers who came back from the war and was filled with white people. And as soon as Black folks started moving in, the money stopped for it. It became a hub for arresting people and putting people in jail and in prison. Resources got depleted. So all of that happens not because this country is so much scared of a more equitable social welfare system, but they just don't want Black folks to have access to it. The most progressive places in this country are usually the places that don't have a large Black population, and then they would start doing things like trying to share wealth amongst themselves and other middle class people usually. But as soon as they see too much Black folks move in, they try to take all that back.
Well, we don't have health care for you at BPM, unfortunately, but we do have an ear doctor. So.
Hey, that's very true. I got a question. I'm trying to understand something. Well, I'm trying to learn how to, be in a space to be more empathetic to people's lifestyles and stuff like that. Because, we come from a different era when things wasn't like it was. So I had a random question in my mind I was pondering. And I was wondering, would we have called Larry Johnson a coon back in the day or a sellout? Because what he did with Grandmama getting that check to dress up as, grandma.
He got plenty of jokes for that.
Because if he did it now, it would be more sensitive to the fact that, he's just expressing himself. Don't, you know what I mean?
What was the difference between Larry Johnson and Dennis Rodman? Didn't Dennis Rodman put on a whole wedding dress for a magazine cover? Do you not see those things as similar, or?
Oh, I mean, we kind of looked at that like, yo, what is he doing? But I think more for Larry Johnson was more of a hood like dude with the gold tooth coming out of UNLV, like, bruh, really? And even to the fact where he even got on air after the game during the finals, and he was talking to the news people and said the Knicks are. He's talking about the '99 NBA Finals. He said the Knicks are a band of rebellious slaves, and Bill Walton was like, "Yo, that's a disgrace." And Larry Johnson went on to say, me and Avery Johnson, we come from the same plantation. Master Johnson's plantation. So he went on to say, like, here in the NBA full of Blacks, great opportunities. They made beautiful strides. But what's the sense of that? When I go back to my neighborhood and I see the same thing, I'm the only one who came out of my neighborhood. Everybody end up dead in jail, selling drugs. So I'm supposed to be honored and happy or whatever by my success. Yes, I am. But I can't deny the fact that it's happened to us for years and years and years, and we're still at the bottom of the total pole. So he had some knowledge in his head. It was just like, really?
The
Larry?
only mistake I ever am aware of that I feel he needs to be held responsible for is taking whatever must have been that big payday to lose that championship game to Duke. I still refuse to
Oh, my
believe.
God,
I am not over it. It's still a big deal to me, and
The
I
dribble.
am waiting for the reveal that says they took a payday for that, because I'm not buying that they lost that legit straight
But
up.
if I remember correctly, his best moment was the 4-point play where he shot I think they won the playoff game or something. He shot a 3-pointer, got fouled, and hit the free throw. And he was at the Knicks at the time.
Yeah,
So either
I
they
know you
won.
were.
Yeah. So that was his best moment. But I was going to say,
moment.
Yeah, that was his best moment.
He did win a championship.
I was
Yeah,
gonna
well,
say,
you know.
didn't
I mean,
Larry
professionally.
Johnson, didn't him and Oak Tree square up once in a game?
They
They
did.
might have. They might have.
Did
They
they?
might have, yeah. Because Larry took his
that'd have
place
been
basically
nice.
as the enforcer.
Yes.
Yeah.
That
But I
would
think this is when maybe he was still playing for Charlotte, and obviously the Knicks were the Knicks at the time. But
No, that'd be a good fight. That'd be a good fight.
I think it was a good fight, actually. But let me just say this to Ear Doctor's point about Larry Johnson wearing the dress. Guys, I mean, we have to just at some point just look at clothes as being clothes, right? If people want to wear certain kinds of clothes, they could wear certain kinds of clothes, right? Like, if men want to put on a dress, I could care less if you put on a dress. That don't make him less of a man, if whatever that means. That just means that was something that he was comfortable wearing, and that's what he wore.
The history of our people is being pretty much, here's a check to demasculate yourself.
But that's not true. I mean,
you get a big check.
You don't see them long ass robes them brothers be wearing in Africa. I don't even wear dresses that long. Shit, the maxi dresses.
I get it, but that wasn't your regular. He was grandmama. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't your.
Well, I mean, there's a sense of, but particularly from Black, I would say Black actors or comics, that Hollywood at one point, or just may still be true, people feel like they just different competing themes or whatever. Like Hollywood at one point they wanted to demasculate Black men, and they done so by continually making movies where at some point the Black men would be putting on dresses. So in Larry Johnson's case, Larry Johnson obviously was doing a paid advertisement, so he was doing it to make mony. It wasn't like he was expressing some lifestyle choice or anything of that nature. Like unlike I think a Dennis Johnson and other. I mean,
Rodman.
Dennis
or
Rodman.
Lakeith Stansfield more recently, perhaps.
Well, I think you're right, and I think times have changed where people are openly saying, "I'm going to express myself as I see fit." And basically fuck your opinions, right? It's like, maybe I do feel like this one day, or I do feel like that one day. And so folks who have opinions on it, it's kind of more like, well, you don't have to do it, or it's not impacting you personally, or, it's like that's, if someone wants to do that and they feel like they're expressing a certain lifestyle choice, other folks, deal with it, right? It's like, so what? I mean, that's it. It's a simplest way. But I do think that that's part of part of that, the history, particularly in the 80s and 90s, was all those conversations that I think Black men were having, particularly straight Black men, who were like, "Oh, this is what's happening. Like this is people talking about, that you like who like everything from Eddie Murphy."
Prince, come
Tyler
on,
Perry,
Prince wore heels, and people, you know what I'm saying? Some people
Prince
had
was kind of a different class, though. Nobody, it's so weird to me. Nobody ever said anything to my knowledge or whatever. People never sort of singled Prince out as, at least, and you guys may remember it differently, as something like it was never something people just like, oh, that's Prince, and Prince can do whatever the fuck he wants to do, kind of thing. Yeah. So sort of like this carved out position of like his sexuality being ambivalent, and then everybody kind of like being, universally kind of like, that's this Prince kind of shit.
But there was also a sense that among young men in general, and I would argue young Black men in particular, Prince was never seen as the ideal that we were aspiring to. We might like him, we might say, go do whatever you want to do, but that was never the guy.
The look. You mean the aesthetic?
The look, or just in general, like he wasn't the guy. So I think that was part of it, consciously or not. The question, but the question for me, because in general, I agree. I think everybody should be just doing whatever they want that is, not harmful to others. Express yourself, blah blah blah. But the question for me is always, because this was the same thing I was asking about drill music and whatever else. There's a point at which I think we need to look at any given situation separately. One as the preference of an individual or a group versus what is preferably popularized by those in control of pop culture, the culture industries, that have political, economic power, etc. And what is it that they are looking to drive or derive from popularizing one or another performance? And that's the only thing that I think is worthy of some critical analysis. Because even when even when it's something we like, I think we need to be critical of it when it is dragged out from our experiences and put up and popularized and then championed. Yeah, anyway, that's it. That's it.
So. All right. Yeah. It was just on my mind. Like I just wanted to get it out. I know
we about
supposed
to be your whole break, or you going to do something else?
I mean, listen, I do have a break still, but it was just on my mind. And sometimes I bring up stuff when we get into conversation because I bring up some good topics. Oh. But what I'm going to do is go ahead and do a break real quick, and we're going to come back and get into Warrior class. Let's do that.
Cool.
All right.
Cool. Right on. Let's go. Remix.
Remix.
All right, here we go. Okay, why is that going so slow? My computer is bugging out. May, can we get a little help on? There we go. Zombie. Yeah, that's a little bit of Fela. I had to give you a little zombie to start it off. So since I am talking about Fela, let's go to Africa and talk about our next artist. Can we do that? So, who do I want to talk about next? No other than Miriam Makeba. That's right, or also known as Zenzel Miriam Makeba. She's nicknamed Mama Africa. She was a South African singer, songwriter, actress, and civil rights activist. Associated with musical genres as Afro pop, jazz, and world music. She was an advocate against apartheid and white minority government in South Africa. That's right. So she's been singing for a while, and let me tell you this: she did it under conditions where she did her own thing and came up with Harry Belafonte. Harry Belafonte was actually her mentor. He took her under a wing, and they did a song Pata Pata, which is a very popular song. Even got a Grammy Award for it back in 1965 on the album Evening with Belafonte Makeba. So she did that. She also came to the United States and South African government that the United Nations became involved in the civil rights movement. She also married Stokely Carmichael, leader of the Black Panther Party, back in 1968. She pretty much the United States wasn't trying to hear her because she was coming. She wasn't really trying to just be like a political singer. She was singing about what was going on, and it was all this craziness was going on. You could also catch her in the 1992 film Serafina. But let me talk a little bit about her activism and what she brought to the table when it came to that. Let me see. She was among very visible people when it came to the South Africa movement, even came in and sang for Mandela. Let me see. Yeah. Okay. So she was she came and did messages of Black and Beautiful. And what she really was about was telling sisters that, listen, you don't have to wear a lot of makeup and be Eurocentric to get love. So she was really much on that. A lot of the time she was just like, I'm not wearing no makeup. I'm wearing my hair natural. She was kind of one of the people to bring the Afro look to the continent. Like, this is what it is. This is how we're doing. So the Afro look came through her. According to musical scholar Tasha Ford, her hairstyle represented a liberated African beauty aesthetic. So she was very much about her people and very much about the ending the apartheid. So please, if you have a chance, go check out Miss Makeba. She has over at least eight albums. So check her out, Miriam Makeba. That is your history lesson for the day. So let's take it back and get to some warrior class right here, right now on the Remix Morning Show. Let's go. Suffering and smiling. Suffering and smiling.
Best transitions. Come through here, doctor.
I guess you got to do what you got to do when you're not in your studio, kind of thing. You know.
Hey, you know, we make it happen. You know what I'm saying? So
respect it.
I believe we are.
Africa.
Yeah. She was a beautiful sister. Mad respect to her and bringing that you know, what was going over in South Africa, what was going on at the time that we knew nothing about. So that's what it is.
Thank you.
No doubt. Y'all ready for warrior class?
Let's do it.
All right, let's get to it. Warrior class right here.
Peace, Remix Morning Show and Black Power Media. Baba Balagoon will not be with us today. You will have Ogunbile instead, and try not to shortchange you too much. Let me know if I'm having some technical issues. I'm having to use a different medium right now, but we're gonna get right into it. We're gonna get very practical today. We're gonna talk about using stick. Now, the first time I trained with this, we started training, I was like, man, I don't know how to fight with no stick. But when you really get into it and learn, it's one of the most practical and deceptive things that you could actually have in your, one of your tools. So, first thing I want to say is, when I grew up, I don't know, when I was 16, everybody had a stick in their car. Everybody had a stick, some type of a stick. It may be metal or whatever, but about this same size. Everybody kept it in a little gift ship, whatever, because it is very practical. But one thing we don't really train on is how to use it in a very practical way. One of the number one sayings that we have is, I'm gonna bush upside the head, and that's what we do. We aim for the head most of the time. But what you really want to be able to do, or what you want to do with a stick, and almost anything really, is you want to go for the delivery system. You never know, the person you're dealing with may have them hands, or they may have a tool or be ready to, pull a tool on you. So one of the first things you want to really do is incapacitate that person's ability to strike you. So with using that stick, and we're going to be on Warrior Class Saturday, live at 1 p.m. We'll be discussing how to use what we call the slick stick. So we'll go more into it there. I just want to introduce it to you guys now. So basically, all I'm saying is, for right now, it don't matter how you get there. You can do it different types of ways. You can use this and make it look like you don't really know where it's coming from, what angle you're going to be using, how you're going to be hitting with it. But you want to go for the delivery system, which are the hands. Could be the feet, but we're just going to work with the hands for now. So that's really the secret to using this thing, because you can crack somebody upside the head and yeah, they might be old, but they still have the ability to defend themselves, to use their hands to pull a weapon, a tool, a pistol, whatever it may be. But if you strike these right here where all these bones at, that's going to really delay and prevent the person from being able to, to strike you. So that's what we're talking about today. That's what I want you guys to focus on when you do, if you are training, or you should be training, everybody should be, is using this stick as practical as possible. You don't want to use it against something as hard as a skull. Even though you may do some damage there, it's not going to be the kind of damage you're going to do if you hit them hands. So easy strikes, nothing to really, just bow, boop, boop, boop. That's all it takes to have a person unable to be able to really attack you, So very short, very quick class. And to follow up on this, just make sure you join us on a Warrior Class Saturday live, and we're going to get into really how to use this. It takes some time getting into it to show you, the different variations, ways to strike with this. But like Bob's dad used to tell him, you hit him in the hands, it's going to do something. So that's all you really have to remember. I hope this is coming in clear. Like I said, we're having a little streaming issues, but we'll get that straightened out. So yeah, the stick, very practical. Everybody can have one, can find one, can keep one. You can improvise with it. You may not have a stick that looks just like this, or a pole, or a short staff, or whatever you want to call it, but you can get something, and it's better than nothing. So that's it for us. We appreciate you, and Baba will be back with us shortly. I know you guys are eager to have the boss man back, me too. So you guys stay cool. Remember to tune in. You have a good one.
Yeah, my mama used to have a stick.
Love it.
Yeah, he's right. Everybody had a stick. You wouldn't go outside without a little protection. Sometimes
had tire checker
got yours?
stays in the car. Tire checker stays in the car. Sometimes in my bag. I'm not playing around. I'm not playing.
When we take walks in the park, sometimes as a family, I always start looking for like a branch to pick up. It's just like oh, I mean, it's a walking stick, but it's always like I need them as something in the hand.
And I keep the monkey ball on on me at all times too. This and to Belay's point, I'm definitely not as nice, but you get caught with this, you will let go. A little metal ball wrapped up in this joint, and just as a quick. Yeah. And if you get hit in the hand or the arm or or you will let go of whatever you're holding, and you probably gonna drop. So I'm with that. I'm with all of that. Anyway, I man. Anyway, salute to the warrior class, man.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway,
I walk around with two big ass dogs. Run up on
you
me.
got two?
I watch one. I dog sit one quite a bit, but I still have Bagheera. Bagheera is she will still bite people. Not people. She's actually not a people aggressive dog. She's dog aggressive. But in defense of her mother, I don't doubt that she would take a chomp out of somebody.
And is it a
yeah,
bit?
I think
the other dog is big. Yeah, he's about 75 pounds. He loves me. Yeah. But no, I support the weaponry though. You know what I'm saying? Like it is smart to keep something on your person these days. Any day, actually.
I think Roberto, I don't know, man. I mean, he talks a big game. I don't know, man. Old man tactics, yeah, man. And I'm old now. I feel like I've crossed over. I'm old man now.
So that means you have just crossed over into old man strength, right, Gerard? You just got that old man strength now.
It is true. Strength is the last to go. Quickness is first.
Quickness is first.
Speed and endurance are second and third, but that strength will stick around for a minute. So I'm maybe a little bit too over dependent on that at this point, but but that's why I like, weaponry, quick fight ending strategies. I don't have time to be playing with you. I ain't gonna be dancing around and trying to look pretty, all that Eddie Murphy, with that back in the day, all those days are over.
That was half the fight. Half the fight was being able to do a little that was half the fight.
And it always, you had that good starting game. Like what you would do, what you would do,
true,
what you would do, true. What you would do. You gotta, you gotta build into it a little bit.
Man.
Playground fights, son.
Dog, I learned the value in carrying a weapon at Appleton High School in Howard
Oh
County.
wow.
Dog, I never forget. And rest in peace to Tanisha, because Tanisha has since transitioned. But Tanisha, thankfully, was a friend of mine. But she was beating up broads left and right out here. And this one girl who was new to the school had talked shit or whatever. So Tanisha and this other girl student started beating on the girl, like, right, we was walking up the hall, they started whooping her, and then Tanisha, like 5'11", probably 190, you know what I'm saying, wailing on her. Next thing I know, Shorty pulls out some scissors, sliced her right in the face, dog. I said, oh, game has changed. The game has changed. It is a different ball game out here now. So, okay. So yeah.
And that's these tree-lined streets.
That was the tree-lined streets for sure. That was the tree-lined streets. It was serious.
Yeah, we've had extensive conversations with our children that conflict is to be avoided at all cost. We've talked about self-defense. We've talked about, but the point is to avoid. Because to that point, a lot of times, I certainly took it back in the day for sure, took for granted that these were not to be life-ending or permanently altering fights. And I did have to learn, somewhat, not to that extent, but I had to learn at time that was not the reality, that this is it gets more serious. But certainly in high school, I took for granted, like, we're not supposed to be permanently doing damage here. This is supposed to be, whatever. But to your point, so that's why we're like, do not get in conflict with anybody. Unfortunately, girls can be just as violent as anybody else. And so.
Listen, I have walked away from a couple of confrontations because I wanted my face intact. You know what I'm saying? Like, is it worth it for me to get into this scuffle, or is it worth it to me to look in the mirror tomorrow morning and see my face without scars? And I decided to walk away. Real quick, I'll tell you a real quick story. So this is a hip hop shit. So what's the name of that club, Jared? I think it might have been the Paradox in Baltimore.
The Paradox.
They had the lineup was ridiculous. Okay, it was, I think it was Def Squad, so it was EPMD, Redman, Keith Murray, DMX. I think Nas was on this joint. It was a silly lineup. And this was like 97, 98. All my friends were scared to go to the club. I said, fuck y'all, I'm going. I went by myself, right? I'm not, Miss Redman is coming to Baltimore, baby. You think I'm not going to be there? So I go to the gym by myself. Why are y'all laughing?
Because it just sounds consistent.
It's Kim.
I will roll and burn your house to the ground.
What is it? Ain't nothing to go somewhere to a rap show at that time anyway. So I went to the gym, whatever. I'm there by myself, and these girls, either I cut in front of them or they cut in front of me. I don't remember the details, but we started barking at each other, and dudes got in between us. Blah, 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 okay, whatever. They was like, all right, bitch, we'll see you later. I was like, whatever, bitch, blah, blah, blah. So the show starts, and I'm down front, and it's a sweat box. It is a sweat box. It is niggas everywhere, right? And unfortunately, I have to admit this, I was not the hugest DMX fan, and DMX was actually closing the show. So because I was right there at the barricade, I just asked the security man, hey, can you just pick me up and lift me over this so I can walk out the side door, which was open leading to the street. So he did, and I'm walking out the club, and I hear somebody like yelling at me. And so I turn around, and it's the same girls from before. Yeah, bitch, you better leave. We're going to fuck you up. I said, you right. I'm leaving right now. Look, I'm going to get my car's parked. I am gone, girls. Y'all got it, because I'm not getting fucked up by no city girls out here today by myself. No, thank you.
But did you throw down? Were you a throw down? Did you in school? Did you have some?
I threw down commiserate with my environment, right? So, and Jared, I think, knows exactly what I mean by this. Like, I would fight other people from Howard County, but I knew that my Howard County hands was not nice in Baltimore. I knew that my Howard County hands was not nice in PG, or not nice enough in DC, right? So I try to avoid confrontations from people that I know could likely fight way, way better than me.
Definitely in high school, I'm with you, but it was once in the Navy, honestly, I feel like I learned city cats are overrated. Like it's
I don't know about the
your
girls,
place
I
of
think you're right. I
birth
think he's
is
right. He's got a little.
I don't
is
know about
not a
girls.
guarantee.
I don't know about girls.
It's just well, maybe I just think that
City
was I
cats
just
to
think
sell
every
wolf tickets better. We know we
in
know how to.
every hood there are people who stay inside who just go A to B and avoid, and there are wolves. So, and I think that, and I think that sometimes, and when push comes to shove, so anyway, so now I was never, but for the most part, Kim, I'm with you, and I have walked away and avoided way more.
Mhm.
And sometimes it still hurts, to be honest. Like my ego and pride hurts a little bit, but at least that's all that hurts. So
That's right, Jared. Look
I
at
was
your
a better
face
junior
in
high
the
school
mirror.
fighter. I didn't have no weight. I didn't have enough weight, and so I didn't do a lot of high school fighting. And in the projects, I probably only had a couple of like play fights, almost real fights. But I do remember there's this one brother. His name was Ron. You said Wolf. Ron was a villain, but we were cool, right? And he just got up. I ain't seen him a long time. He got home from prison. This dude was like a refrigerator. But we started play boxing, and I couldn't back down because it was like, it was like you had to. This dude hit me so hard in the chest. I didn't see nothing for like 5 seconds. And he, he's like, yo, you're all right. He picked me up. I was like, yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. But that was like, I was like, yeah.
Mine, I think I've shared this already, but mine was his name is Mark Murray from Camden, New Jersey. And in the Navy, and the brother was at the time built like a young Mike Tyson. So he had that same sort of natural and everybody was scared of him. But because I was stronger than him in the gym, when we got to some shit talking, I said, well, let's put, we had gloves so nobody got in trouble. So that was the rule in the military at the time, at least. Put gloves on, you don't get in trouble. So we put gloves on, and I stood up and I threw a little something, and he came back, whop! and I think my head still hurts. And I remember I had to lean. Thankfully, there was a thing to lean on. Otherwise, I would have gone down. And I leaned on it, and I did the whole thing. I was like, that's it. I was like, hold up. I was like, that's it.
No mas.
That was it. No mas. I was like, we good. And the only thing that saved me was that nobody else was willing to even do that. So so like when everybody would start to talk trash, I'd be like, but you didn't even. And then they were like, but that's why we didn't.
All right. We saw how hard he rocked your ass, Jared.
And that was with a glove. That had a glove on that joint. So whatever happens without that glove, I would have been asleep for sure. Anyway, speaking of Kim, speaking of violence, Kim, I think you said you had a full clip. I don't know if we.
I said half a clip. I said a half a clip.
Half a clip. Okay, my bad. Okay, my bad.
I specified half a clip.
If there were any, okay. So,
well, I do have one just as a talker. If you don't have anything queued,
no, go ahead. No, go ahead.
So, marijuana became legal in the District of Columbia 7 years ago. That sounds about right. 2014 sounds about right. Let's just say that. And
sure.
But so despite the fact that weed is legalized in the District of Columbia, it is not legal for recreational sales. So it's not like Colorado, where you kind of go in, show your ID and buy weed. No, it's a whole process in order to purchase marijuana in the district. It's still, I believe, scheduled under medicinal marijuana. So Congress has governing authority, but has some governing authority over what the District of Columbia does. And legalizing recreational sales of marijuana is one of those things. So despite the fact that marijuana is legal in lots of states across the country for recreational purchase, Congress just ruled, I think this was yesterday, that DC still cannot have recreational sales, which is another example of how Washington, DC, despite that it has a population of over, I think, 650,000, all these people pay federal taxes, does not have full control or autonomy over its own laws within its borders. And it's really bullshit. And of course, this is some racist shit, because up until I think it was 2012, Washington, D.C. was majority Black. And I think 2012 was the first year that Black people officially became not the majority in the district. So that just gives Congress another reason to tell district residents who up until recently were overwhelmingly Black why they can't approve their own laws within their own borders. But it just goes to show you that Joe Biden and the federal government, I mean, they could deschedule or reschedule marijuana. It is still classified under the DEA as a Schedule I narcotic. The fuck? And these things can be changed very quickly via executive order if there was a will to do so. But if DC had full autonomy and could vote itself like all the rest of the states, then this wouldn't even be a question. And it's still another reason for police to engage Black DC residents for possession of marijuana. Even though it's legal, it's still something that you can be cited and ticketed for. That's it.
It's so annoying. It's for some reason of all the horrors, this is so annoying. I don't know. It's like particularly annoying. But yeah, just another, as you said, just another reason to be able to harass Black people for sure.
Yeah. Yes. DC is never going to get statehood, by the way. Yeah.
Oh, it totally is. The whiter it gets, count on it.
Well, I mean, yeah, I take that back. I meant as a Black, as a city that it would be Black majority, it won't.
Oh yeah, no.
As soon as it's white,
but it will soon.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, that was my. Sorry, that was the caveat. Yeah.
But speaking of abuses, more ways to abuse Black folks, we do have this story that there's a new Emmett Till opera written by a white woman, starring a fictional white woman. And as the author here asks, I think logically, what could possibly go wrong? I had not heard about this, so this is disturbing. One day, a white woman woke up in the morning and decided that making an opera about Emmett Till was a good idea. That white woman got a bunch of Black people involved whom she would have needed in order to make this even plausibly okay. But that won't change the fact that Black people's response to the very idea of the opera will range from skeptical to what WTF is this caucasified here.
Caucasified, that's a new one.
I was going to say, is this? I'm not up on the latest lingo. No. Caucasified.
I've heard of the caucasity, and
the caucasity. Yes. But what caucasiousness is this?
What is this? Can we get a name? Who is this lady? Where is this play being produced? What is the premise?
It hasn't come out yet. As far as as far as you know,
Emmett Till opera will have its world premiere March 23rd with an encore performance on the 24th at the Gerald W. Lynch Theater at John Jay College. Is this an April Fool's joke?
Is it? Is there a Lynch Theater at John Jay?
This is a News One story, so I'm checking that it's not the Onion, but. Because that reads is insane, like that all just reads bad.
It's really bad. And there's so many theaters in New York, like you couldn't not have it at the Lynch Theater. You know what I'm saying? Like that was the only one that was open.
If a white woman was
features
in charge,
a Black
she probably
chorus.
Thought it was fantastic. Oh, it added to the ambiance or some shit like that.
Shut up.
It features both a Black chorus and a white chorus. Emmett Till weaves the horrific murder of Till with Mamie Till Mobley's transformation from private citizen to activist. Uncle Mo's Wright's bold decision to break the Delta Code and testify at the trial, and Roanne Taylor's journey towards a sense of responsibility. Oh, is that how they describe it? Her journey towards a sense of responsibility?
Because it's going to be told through the eyes of the white woman, whoever the fictional white woman character is.
But there was a real white woman villain in this incident. Why
now.
Heroine, some white savior, when you could tell the story of the real fucking white woman?
Why do that? Why do that?
For some reason...
you know what? I've not seen the was it that there was another Emmett Till biopic on recently that I also heard got panned, although I have not seen it. That I think that Jay produced, if I'm not mistaken.
Jay-Z.
That who produced?
That what's his name? Jesus Christ, why?
Claire Koss is the woman's name, by the way. Claire Koss, Koss is the woman's name who the play, by the way. Which people can go see at the Lynch Theater at John Jay College. That's just
Jesus.
That's just a mess, right? There was another Emmett Till piece that was recently produced.
Just recently,
and, it was interesting. I did ask. We had a conversation in one of my Black Studies classes about it, and I asked what did they think of it, and it was interesting. Most of the students seemed to think that they were themselves kind of respectfully, but kind of over the Emmett Till story, which I thought was getting too much. Where we somewhat agreed was that I thought the Emmett Till story has been, it gets I think almost abused with the routine popular discussion of it, as if presented, as I read it as we're supposed to see how horrible it once was. Things are now better. Look at how much has advanced.
I'm not sure about that, Jared.
No,
just because every time a Black child gets murdered by police, Emmett Till is the first comparison usually that you know what I mean, that's made.
Mm-hmm.
No, you don't think so?
Yeah, I do, and I don't know. I do think, no, I recognize that happens. I just still feel like it's the representation of the story back to us in I don't know. I just feel like that's just the way I end up feeling about it. It's not that I think that the story shouldn't be told and remembered. And obviously when people make the connections to the ongoing, that's sort of why I feel like it's represented back to us in the way that it is, because the constant comparison to the ongoing killings, and it's meant to remind us, or being intended at least to remind us that we've advanced in some way. And I also think there's an attempt to, I don't know, I feel like to limit the overall eventual militancy of that movement. You know, like there's like when Medgar Evers in that same time period is saying we need a Mau Mau in the South, like that part of the response I feel like gets erased as the with the emphasis on this boy's torture. And I don't know, so I don't feel like I'm clearly still working out my own thoughts. I'm not being eloquent here at all, but it's just a feeling that I have about the way that the mainstream constantly wants to reframe or retell the story. It's not, I don't feel like it's not done in such a way to inspire us in a forward direction. It feels like it's done to hold us back.
I feel like it's done in when I hear it these days, I feel like it's done in again, like it is that connection around white vigilantism and so forth. But then it's this long arc of history of, you know, again, the mother's sort of sojourn to go from mother to speaking publicly about what happened and how it kicked off the civil rights movement. But then usually it ends with the narrative in that eventually these folks saw justice because they were later, like 30 years later, convicted. But I think I mean, I agree. It takes out there's no militancy connected to the story of a sort of a fight back theme. And then part of it becomes, what do you call it, like torture porn, because it gets wrapped up into some of those details. But it's always, you know, even if it's connected, it's always meant to be like this yesteryear story of how, for at least in some people's hands, how much progress we've made. And then I think this thing about the women of the movement, it highlights his mom. You know, I think some of the critiques that I remember were like it was just told in a Disney-like fashion, and so the brutality that folks sort of lived under gets a little de-emphasized. As in Emmett Till, because of the amount of attention it got, we were to reach a certain highlight in terms of people's consciousness, but it was not. But this was an everyday terror, right? This was either the possibilities of this or other ways in which people were killed and tortured and set back gets de-emphasized. Almost like when we talk about police brutality, the struggle gets around the death of one person as opposed to totality of like, that's the tip of the iceberg, because there's a whole system working right beneath that destroys lives in less quick ways, year after year, decade after decade, and we do nothing about that real system. So
anyway, yeah, I don't know. What were you about to show a story?
No, I just showed the
I'm sorry.
Yeah, but I do have another story that I could show, just something that's happening right now that I think is affecting everyone's pocketbook. Is the story about inflation. So inflation has now reached a 4-decade high, climbing to 7.9%. And obviously
that's more than my 4% cola.
That's gone. Your cola is gone.
Cola done.
Damn it.
And gas prices have a lot to do with this, because gas prices aren't just about what's happening at the pump, but gas prices impact delivery, other things that are made out of oil and so forth. Surging food prices in February, the continued supply chain pressures that are happening, all that is still taking place, and now it's reaching a level where, as folks have, if you walk around wherever, gas prices and obviously the war in Ukraine and the subsequent sanctions and/or possible sanctions against Russian oil have meant that the market itself is heading towards sort of pricing in possible sanctions and the removal of Russian oil even before it starts to happen. And again, capitalists are making a quick buck off of that. So, people are
Well, it's
starting to feel
Putin's
that
fault. It's Putin's fault. It's Russia's fault.
Which will be the Democratic line.
I watched the news, so that must be true. Yeah.
But what's interesting is the way Joe Biden is imploring for people to return to the office as gas prices are at the highest levels in many, many years, that food prices are at their highest levels. So you want people who have been home, hopefully some people have been home, but for folks who have not been in the office, so you want people to start filling up their gas tanks to go sit in traffic, burn gas, so you can buy overpriced inflation adjusted lunches downtown at the office, just so your boss wants to see your face. And this is Joe Biden's brilliant idea. Like, now is the time to push people back to work when everything is at its highest price.
Yeah.
And the mask mandates are being lifted.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
It's not like to have some sense of normalcy when it's like we're still not in so-called normal times, because but again, it just feels like in America in particular, and this is probably true for other places, that people want to act as if this virus or this pandemic is over without knowing if there's going to be, obviously you can't know, but without assuming that there can be another variant, or they could that can come out any day. So there's this push for normalcy or getting people back in the office or buying things again at the same time, like you said, where prices are now reaching certain levels where, and even where some unionization is done. I mean, on the other side of it, I guess, is unionization is starting to happen in numbers that we haven't seen prior also. So that's a good thing, where people are saying, coming out of this pandemic, one side of it is folks quitting. The other side is that folks are also unionizing. But the choices are limited, because as you're unionizing and trying to get higher pay, that's all eaten up by the fact that, at least at this particular stage, that inflation has been on the rise for the last couple of years, but now it's starting to hit a certain level. And that includes housing prices, like, prices of lumber and wood and all that kind of stuff. All of that is brought into what people is just the smaller amount that you can buy with your paycheck these days.
Well, yesterday when I went and spent $175 at the gas tank and $80 for my gallon of milk at the grocery store, I noticed for the first time what it felt like for me when I went into the grocery store to get that $93, bag of almonds. It honestly was the first time I felt like people without masks were looking at me like, what's wrong with you?
Dog, I was thinking about that about Ryan Coogler too, but go ahead.
Yeah, that was it. That was it. I just walked around and I kept feeling like I get all these looks because a lot of people were not wearing masks, and it was and they were looking at me like, my man,
Oh,
bruh,
so it's about to be back to
bruh.
being suspicious, wearing the mask, and it's going to be Black people out here who are going to continue to wear masks. I know I will absolutely continue to wear masks, and you're right about that, Jared. I mean, like I said, I watched the local news here in DC, and it was interesting because apparently DC is the last municipality / state that has not lifted the indoor masking mandate for public schools. They said that they intend to keep that in place despite the rates of low transmission in the district. And they had 2 parents this morning. The local news had 2 parents that they interviewed who had students in the DC public school system who were upset that the masking mandates were still in place. I'll give y'all one guess as to the race of both of these parents. I was like, out of all the parents in DC public school system, y'all found 2 white women to talk about how they were still frustrated that Mayor Bowser and DC Public Health, and by the way, I don't have a lot of praise, no praise for Mayor Bowser or DC Public Health, but the fact that they're keeping this in place, I don't have a problem with it. But it's interesting. I'm like, wow, y'all just let, anytime the white parents are aggrieved, we have a prime spot for y'all to come and air your grievances. What you got to say, Karen? Come on. We got 10 minutes to give you.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds about right.
But aren't y'all furious as Black parents that white parents are fucking calling these shots right now for the public health of your kids in schools?
Is that
our children. I'm sorry. Would you say, Kamal?
Oh no, I was saying I just feel like that's standard. That's standard
for everything.
White women speak up. White women speak up. You know.
We have we've told our daughters that they have to keep their masks on for whatever that's worth in a school filled with children not wearing their masks.
At least you said it, Jared. You know what I'm saying?
We did, and then the way our oldest reports it, walking through the hallway is she has to walk through a maze of overly sexualized young adults or old teenage or old children, as I like to call them. I don't know, young adult, old children. Not only maskless, but in full sexualized energy, and so anyway, again, look, I keep saying my children being in these schools is my personal biggest political contradiction, just in general. I just for whatever reasons, for series of reasons, I should say, we've ended up there. So when I talk to my good friends who don't have their children in these schools, I share some of our stories as an encouragement to them. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, we need a revolution so that it doesn't really matter where we are and where we're situated. Our children can be properly educated safely. So anyway, that's my thank you for my pedestal. Yeah.
That's okay. Well, I mean, but the interesting thing is, specifically related to the story that I saw this morning, that the concern seems to be all about the mental well-being of the children and very little disregard given to, say, the teachers' concerns, right? The teachers who have to stand in front of them 35 germy-ass kids every single day for hours at a time, possibly in buildings with no windows or without proper ventilation. Like, it's the listen, we got to stand with the teachers here, man, because they the ones dealing with our kids for 8 hours.
Yeah, but Kim, the problem is we're hearing it is that the teachers, and this is across racial lines, apparently, the teachers are the ones leading the maskless charge.
Really? Wow.
In our school, in our situation, it is that way.
Interesting.
And so our children have been instructed to leave them on, and that's what we're going to do.
Ours is now optional. It's like that that's how they started off, with an optional approach or whatever. So, but we also instruct keep mask on. But again, you having young kids, it probably it's not gonna, it's 5 seconds after you saying that, it's like you can see them going through the door of like kind of thing, and then chatting it up and being close to each other. So
our children are a little older than yours and are perfectly behaved and never disobey their parents. So our children, but in all, I do think that they are following that instruction because of the way they report it. Their attitude is almost, over in the other direction, in the sense that they're looking at their teachers, their maskless teachers, side-eyed, and like, what's wrong with you for not having a mask on, and not setting the proper example. That's how they feel. So,
well, I can understand that, because if the teachers in Howard County today are anything like the teachers of Howard County of yesteryear, I can totally see how there are a bunch of maskless teachers standing in the classrooms. But if you look at, for example, the arguments that the Chicago Teachers Union have been making, for example, I mean, they refuse to come to work because of the poor safety protocols that have been taken by the Chicago public school system as it relates to COVID. And that mask mandate is going to be lifting soon too. And I know there's still some consternation between Lori Lightfoot and the CTU. So yeah, not all the teachers, Jared.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I'm just saying where we are. That was the situation.
Yeah.
So I support them for sure. And speaking of who we support, it's the Ear Doctor coming back in the building. What's up, sir?
Yo, y'all did a lot during that segment. And I was just thinking about, yeah. I was thinking about your friend that was watching you, Jared, where y'all was fighting. And I was like, he must be on the side like this. Throw the goddamn towel.
I threw it. They didn't have to. I threw it. As soon as I balanced myself, I said, wait.
That's it.
That's it. Yeah. You don't have to. There's no Rocky syndrome over here.
And then the opera. I'm like, what are they gonna be singing? I hate these niggas. I mean, are you serious? I gotta
see a clip. I just gotta see a clip.
Opera. But man, I'm done. But anyway, I want to give you
a quick. That. You should write that, Ear Doctor. You need to write that out. I need stanzas, a chorus, a hook. I need all of that.
Your lips, your hips, your... Don't get me started. Anyway, we're going to do a quick break. Real quick break. I just want to do one more. Sisters, this is African Women History Month. So let's get to it right here, right now on the Remix Morning Show.
Remix.
All right. I've been looking for you. I bet you hurt. Ooh. All right, here we go. So who am I going to talk about today? If you ain't hear who I was just singing about, you better know Patrice Rushen. Let me tell you about Patrice Rushen. That's right. Do it real quick. Patrice Louise Rushen, born September 30th, 1954, American jazz pianist and R&B singer. She's also a composer, record producer, multi-instrumentalist, songwriter, and music director. In 1982, her single "Forgive Me Nots," that's right, it received a Grammy Award nomination for Best Female R&B Vocal Performance. And she also had an instrumental called "Number One" from her album Straight from the Heart, who earned her a additional Grammy nomination for Best Instrumental. You get a nomination for Best Instrumental. I mean, I just thought she had the songs. I didn't know that she composed, was on a piano, playing all these different instruments and all that too. So big up to her. Her 12th album, that's right, her 12th album. She did 12 albums. Signature also received a Grammy nomination for Best Instrumental in 1998. She serves as an ambassador for artistry education at Berklee College of Music, as the chair of popular music program at the USC Thornton School of Music. So yeah, like I said, she's been doing it. And if you don't know, you better find out about her, because she got bangers. She got a bunch of bangers. And like I said, 12 albums, man. Go check your girl out. Stop playing. All right, that's it for today. Patrice Rushen. Let's get back to the morning crew. You know how we do. All right. Send me, forgive me nots.
Clap.
Hey,
it is forget me nots, right?
Forget me nots. I don't understand that, but I always sung it.
No, forget me. In other words, to forget me not.
Oh,
to remember me.
Just so you remember.
Well, guys,
you got it. It took 30 years. 30 years, and now he's like,
Hey.
Forget-me-nots are absolutely flowers too. There's a flower called forget-me-nots. Sending you forget-me-nots.
Okay. See, look at that. Education.
Real quick, Patrice Rushen is the author and the performer of 2 songs that I think are absolutely flawless, and Forget Me Nots are one of them, but Remind Me is probably one of the most perfect songs ever produced, recorded, from literally from the beginning when she drops in. I don't know if that's a harp. No, what's the shit called, Jared? It's a Hammond organ. I think it's a Hammond organ.
Yeah.
With the organ and the like. I don't even know. I mean, it's so gorgeous. I mean, her arrangement, her musicianship, her penmanship, and the sister's voice. Someone said in the chat, the angelic voice. Yeah. Patrice Rushen is a gem.
And she did all that. She produced all of it. Is that what you were saying too?
Yeah, she was Prince before Prince.
Wow.
B.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
She doesn't get the credit she deserves for being
clearly
just the musician.
She do on Black Power Media. You know, we gotta give her credit. You know what I'm saying? I think that was like a harp that was played in that. You remind me that. Yo, and then and Common sampled that, redid that song. So yeah, that was dope.
And Jay-Z got Forget Me Nots.
Your love.
Yeah, no, Patrice is
world to me.
Yeah, up there, all time greats.
Yeah, so we just go. I'm just gonna bust y'all in the head with mad sisters this month. So we just gonna learn about our sisters as much as we can. So
can I put in some requests? Even though I think you've already done Angela Winbush. Do I have that mistaken? Have you already said?
No, I haven't done.
I don't think so.
Okay.
And I thought it was Angela. I didn't know it was Angela. Cool.
Oh wow.
He correcting you now on your.
Oh wow. Kim,
I love it when somebody gets one in. I love it when somebody gets one, like, you know, they don't mess up like 35, not just you, like 35 things in a row. But the moment you step on something, they get the it's like, all right, I remember that.
Hey, you know, working on my pronunciations here.
Kim, being that today is the Remix Fridays on Thursday, what do you have on your show actually on Friday? You have that planned out already?
Of sorts. So we've got some different things percolating in the ether. So we've had some requests from Burn It Down with Kim Brown viewers to bring more coverage about Palestine. So I actually reached out to a Palestinian journalist who I'm hoping that we can start to build like a working relationship. But he sent me a bunch of footage of recent protests, and I mean, he asked me what did I want to see. I said I want you to send me what you think that we need to see. What are the scenes and the images that you think that America and the West and whatever needs to understand about what's happening in Palestine? So I'm doing that today. After we get off, I'm going to go through the stuff that he sent me, and hopefully we'll have some like actual within the West Bank reporting of what's happening with our folks in Palestine, because, you know, as Ukrainians are, you know, the most favored refugees right now, it's important that we still focus stories and focus our lenses of people who have been oppressed ongoing and continue to be oppressed. So that's one thing that I'm working on. I do want to give us an update of what's happening with the Africans in Ukraine. One of our BIDWKB staff, I guess, I don't know what to call Molly, but she's our social media manager. Molly is based in Berlin, and she writes for The Real News in addition, but she was going to shoot some stuff specifically for us because she says a lot of refugees are coming into all the Berlin train stations. So apparently there's one in proximity to her, and she was going to go and try to speak with people. And of course, I told her, we want to hear from Black and brown people. I mean, no disrespect to the white Ukrainians fleeing a war zone, but, you know, we want to amplify the stories of people that look like us. So we may have some international stories coming to you on Burn It Down with Kim Brown. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please go to Burn It Down with Kim Brown and please subscribe. But there's never a shortage of shit to talk about, unfortunately, right? There's more than enough conflict and oppression and all that. But conversely, I would like to hear some good news stories. I think Kalanji had broached this a couple weeks ago. Like, you know, we need to tell some more good news. So if you got some good news, like legitimate good news, not the first black blah, I'm not interested in that. I'm talking about actual good news. I'd love to.
You know, along that, actually interesting, because one of the questions, one of the humble requests I was going to have for you and your Palestinian guest would be if I would actually be interested in seeing what Palestinians look like when not in immediate conflict and suffering. Like, you know, I don't think we ever see much of them playing, relaxing, chilling, enjoying each other in the moments that aren't, you know, where I'm sure they're able to find time to not always be in conflict in that immediate conflict. But those seem to be the dominant images. So I'd be curious to see if any of that, you know, speaking of good news.
I went to Palestine. Like, I mean, it's probably been like 10, 15 years or whatever, but yeah, I mean, people's everyday moments, there's still like a farming culture that's like prevalent, city life, restaurants, hanging out, that kind of thing. But again, it's always surrounded by the moment that something can drop or happen and stuff like that. And I remember they were giving us tours, and somebody was just pointing out, like, this building last week, it was like rubble, and they were like, you know, well, last week this building was bombed by the Israelis or whatever. And then someone said, no, that one was from like last month. That one over there is the one from a week ago. It was like, wow. Oh, you know, they're like, it's like working it out, and the guy's like, are you sure? And it's like, yeah, no, that was the bombing, yeah, that kind of thing from that, you know. So it's like that kind of omnipresent thing. And the other thing, I guess, really quickly, is just there's a culture of resistance that, at least again, outside looking in, that, you know, they're freedom fighters, they're young people, there's murals all over. I particularly was in the West Bank. There were murals all over. The families whose children have died, or I guess we refer to them here as suicide bombers through media, right? They consider those folks resistance fighters, and those families are actually held up as people who have sacrificed all for their cause and so forth. And so, you know, we got to meet some of the families and talk to folks and all that kind of stuff, and they even stayed with some of the families because those families also get targeted by the IDF. So if your family member either perished or was arrested, then you get targeted by the IDF for them to throw you out your house, take over your house, and evict you, basically, and throw you out on the street. And so when we were there, part of the idea was to have these outsiders who are coming for solidarity to stay with some of the families, to at least during that time period, to have the avoidance of the IDF rushing in and literally just evicting people on the spot, right? So.
Yeah, that's what he was talking about. That's like kind of the ongoing thing that's been happening with people's having their land and their homes continuously confiscated.
Yeah. Hey, before we get out of here, make sure all y'all out there hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't yet. And you can check me out this Sunday, 8 p.m. on Sundays. I'll be doing a mix of Southern artists. So come on.
Oh, whom? Do we have a preliminary playlist of artists?
Nope. Come on through and find out.
Well, can I make some requests?
Sure. What you got for I Mix What I Like in the morning, Jared?
We're going to have a round table with some of my Organization of Propaganda Studies colleagues talking about war propaganda. So it's going to be an interesting conversation, the history, current examples of, and so on. So look forward to that. So, of course, Warrior Class on Saturday, Burn It Down with Kim Brown Friday, and Jackie Lukman. I'm sure Lukman Nation is going to be doing something. I saw her in the chat. I was like, is she snitching? Why she's not supposed to be here? I was like, it's like she got caught on the jumbo screen skipping school at the basketball game. Like, what's going on? Anyway, so stay tuned for that. Make sure you have the bells hit on all of these platforms so you don't miss anything. And like Fred said, we say peace because we know you're willing to fight for it. So peace, everybody. Catch you next time.
Peace.
Peace.